On this video, I want to show you how you can do a 3D graph in your AnyLogic model. This will be a very simple version. You can extend it much more, but you will have the model in the description that you can download. So let's get started. Okay, so the objective here is to have a graph similar to this one. We will only use a pie chart and show this graph in a 3D window like this one. And in order to do that, the only way you can do it is by creating it possibly in an agent that will be using all the 3D objects that are available in AnyLogic, such as rectangles, ovals, and so on. In this case, we're using a pie chart. So what do we need? We need to have an arc, and the arc will have a particular color, will have a particular start angle, and will have a particular angle. And we're using index here. Why are we using index here? Because we're using replications. So we have two data points that we're hard coding here, and these replications will be creating two arcs. And the same will be done with the text. So you need what text based on the index and what color based on the index. And also we will change the Y position based on the index. So we're replicating these objects in order to be able to create the whole figure. So we're using these very simple hard-coded functions. We get the color based on the index. We get the angle based on the values that we are interested in. We have this simple model. We have stock 1 and stock 2. So if index is 0, we will use stock 1 divided by the total. Otherwise, stock 2 divided by the total. And this is multiplied by 360 because this is the total angle of the circle. This is to get the angle of the arc, but you also need the start angle. The first arc will start at minus 90 degrees. And the other ones will follow this formula. This is all hard-coded, but then also we will use with index 0, we'll have a certain text and otherwise another text. Of course, if these things are important to you and you want to create a very comprehensive set of graphs, you can create your own libraries. That means that you have to be doing things much better than what I'm doing here. And you shouldn't hard-code, and instead you should use the appropriate parameters. So now we will be able to see this graph in 2D or 3D. Now remember also that the text, for example, by default is you can see it in 2D only, so you have to change it to 2D and 3D. Okay, so let's run the model to see what we see if we put the agent here. So remember that the agent called graph contains arcs, so that's what we see here. So now it's pointing towards kind of the floor in the typical angle that you have also this kind of graphs. Now this graph that is native in AnyLogic, it's not visible in 3D. And this is just not possible. And this is why you are forced to use your own kind of setup here. Okay, so what's important is how you rotate this thing. In order to rotate this graph and put it in a wall, for example, in any of the sides of the wall, you have these rotations. So you can rotate through the z-axis, and you can rotate the agent through the y-axis. And if I rotate through both, you can see this angle that we don't like. The problem here is that you cannot rotate the agent through the x-axis, only through the y-axis and the z-axis. And this is problematic because you want to put it, for example, in this wall. Nevertheless, you can do it in a different way. So let's review that. So in order to rotate the agent, you can do it with the setRotation function that allows you to rotate around the z-axis, and you can use the setVerticalRotation that allows you to rotate the agent through the y-axis. Nevertheless, to rotate it around the x-axis, you need to do something different because you cannot do it directly with the agent. So what you do is you use the group object, which has a set rotation in X, Y, and Z. So if we go here, you can see that we created a group that contains the arc, the background, which is a rectangle, and the text. All this is contained in the group. But the group, you can define rotation on the Z-axis, on the X-axis, and on the Y-axis. It has these three options. So that's why you can actually rotate directly here. I mean, you could hard-code it here with a parameter or something in order to position it exactly in the place that you want to position it. You don't want to rotate it during runtime, of course, but it's important to know these things. In order to do this correctly, you need to create a group. And that's it. This gets you started. Now you can build anything you can imagine, and there you go.